In this second life, I was the one who ended my engagement to Aiden. In my previous life, Aiden's sworn brother, Sean, entrusted his younger sister, Sophie, to Aiden just before he died. During college, Sophie constantly came up with reasons to make Aiden fly across the country every weekend to be with her, until graduation. The year Aiden proposed to me, Sophie called again. I told him to choose me or her. Aiden chose me, but something terrible happened to Sophie. She was assaulted and later developed a mental illness. Aiden blamed me for it for the rest of the string. When the semester started, Aiden asked why I didn't show up at Golden State University. I smiled and said nothing. In this life, I didn't include Golden State in my application, and I had no intention of including him in my future either. Looking at myself in the mirror, I felt a surge of emotion. It was like I had returned to that moment right before submitting my college preferences. Aiden called me again. His voice was the same as always, carefree with a hint of boyish arrogance. That only made me even more certain that I had been reborn. "Have you filled out your application?" he asked. "I chose computer science at Capital University," I replied. But I was looking at the screen, smiling at the first choice I had actually entered. Harbor City University. "It's done." Aiden gave a soft and hung up. At that moment, he was abroad, accompanying Sophie and their group of friends on a graduation trip. Sophie's older brother was Sean, including Kevin. The four of them made up a tight-knit circle. Childhood friends, really. Their bond ran deep. When they were 16, Sean died in an accident while shielding Aiden. Before he passed, he said just one thing to Aiden: "Take care of Sophie for me." Aiden took those words as his life's mission. Aiden and I had been engaged since we were 8. We met again in high school, but the rest of their group never liked me. After I submitted my college application, I immediately gathered my parents. "Mom, Dad, I don't want to go to Capital University anymore. And I want to call off the engagement with Aiden." They looked at me, clearly confused. My mom asked, "Didn't you and Aiden fall in love? Don't you like each other?" I shook my head. "I've realized something. I don't love him, Mom. We're still young." Back then, we didn't understand what love really meant. But now I'm an adult. I'm about to start college. I can tell the difference. And besides, this engagement only exists because Grandpa once saved Mr. Johnson's life. A life-saving favor turned into a high society marriage. People in Aiden's circle probably think I struck gold. My mom didn't say much more. She smiled and said it's okay. Your grandpa and Mr. Esru Johnson probably didn't mean it seriously. If you two don't get along, it's perfectly normal not to be together. I'll let the Johnsons know. When I heard her agree, I felt completely relieved. That group of 4, Aiden, Sophie, Sean, and Kevin, were well-known figures at school. Great family backgrounds, top grades, and good looks. Sophie loved attention. Any random post she made on her social media would get flooded with comments, whether from classmates or students from other grades. Once she posted a photo of just her and Aiden. Kevin immediately commented, "Wow, wow, wow, a couple pic and I'm left out." Someone replied to him, joking, "Let the lovebirds have their moment. Why are you trying to join in?" Back in my previous life, seeing that post had left me feeling a deep, sour ache. But now, looking at it again, I just found it funny. Aiden clearly liked me. He kissed me whenever he couldn't hold back his feelings. But for Sophie's sake, he never acknowledged our relationship. He was afraid she'd get jealous. Everyone around us thought I only secured that engagement thanks to some life-saving favor from the older generation that I had clawed my way into Aiden's life through luck. In our past life, even though Aiden and I both attended Capital University, we barely saw each other. You could count the times on your fingers. Sophie always had a reason to pull him away from me. Later, when Sophie and Kevin finally found out we were officially together, Kevin brought her all the way from Southside to Capital. Kevin cursed Aiden out on the spot. "Did you fucking forget what Sean told you before he died? He asked you to take care of Sophie. That includes dealing with me too." Kevin didn't even try to hide how pissed he was. And despite his full-course schedule, he still made time to confront Aiden. Aiden only had free time on the weekends. Every weekend, as soon as he finished his lab work, he'd fly straight to Southside. I often saw his face in Sophie's social media posts. Many of our old high school classmates believed Aiden was deeply devoted. On our school's alumni forum, someone anonymously started a thread titled "The General of Love from Capital First High." The post read, "Does anyone remember the 4-person gang from the class above us? Super good looking, and their grades were solid too." Sophie's real brother passed away unexpectedly when they were in their first year of high school. After that, there were only 3 of them left, but both Aiden and Kevin treated Sophie like their own sister. She's totally the group's darling. I have Sophie on my friend list. I keep seeing her post photos. Aiden flies out to see her in Southside every single weekend, who says long-distance relationships don't work. Reading that post made my heart sink little by little. Throughout the 4 years of college, Aiden never once missed Sophie's birthday. But mine. He disappeared every single time. My roommates didn't even meet him until graduation. That summer, I asked Aiden to go to the beach with me. His expression turned complicated. "Lisa, I already promised Sophie and Kevin I'd go abroad with them during the summer. Let's do it next time," he said, gently pinching my chin, leaning down to kiss me. His eyes were filled with a hazy desire. I pushed him away and turned around to wipe the tears at the corner of my eyes, trying hard to keep my voice steady. "Okay," he said, "after we graduate, let's get married, okay?" I nodded. Okay, at our graduation ceremony, he proposed. Somehow, Sophie found out and called him in tears. "Aiden, are you leaving me too?" I saw the hesitation in his eyes. As he slowly looked over at me, the joy of being proposed to vanished in an instant. I looked back at him and said each word carefully. "Aiden, it's either her or me." He stood there, expression blank in his tailored suit, tall and straight like a movie lead bathed in golden sunset light. His lips curved into a faint smile, and he tilted his head slightly. "Lisa Chen," he said, "I want to marry you." Then he hung up the call. I could hear Kevin cursing softly under his breath, "Fucking hell." Aiden pulled me into his arms. At that moment, I really thought Aiden had finally chosen me, that from now on, he would stand by my side. But that happiness didn't even last 8 hours. At 2 a.m., Aiden's phone rang urgently. Then Kevin's phone rang. Then Sophie's parents. Then Aiden's parents. Even Kevin called me. "Lisa Chen, you're disgusting. Tell him Sophie's in trouble and let him figure out how to deal with it." Sophie had gotten drunk and rushed to Capital University in the middle of the night. She had been assaulted. Her mental state deteriorated drastically, spiraling into a breakdown. I watched Aiden's eyes go from clear to dazed. His eyes reddened, and the hand holding his phone trembled slightly. He looked at me, and in that moment, the love in his eyes disappeared completely. I could feel it. He regretted it. He regretted choosing me. Aiden stormed out, bought a ticket for the earliest flight, and flew to Southside before dawn. From that moment on, Aiden resented me for a long time. He started ignoring me on purpose. When Kevin bullied me, he said nothing. When Sophie's parents hurled insults at me, he just watched silently. In our 5th year, both Sophie and I were hospitalized and admitted to the ICU at the same time. 2 attending doctors came out and asked, who was the family member of the patient. Aiden walked towards Sophie. She was the first to receive the transplant surgery. I died that year. The moment I realized I was dying, my whole life flashed before my eyes like a movie. Aiden regretted everything. And so did I. Thankfully, I got a second chance. After returning from the overseas trip, Aiden went to a class reunion. Someone asked him where he applied for college. I smiled and said, there are only a few top universities. Nothing new. A few curious classmates began gossiping and shifted the topic to Aiden and Sophie. They are both so smart. I bet they ended up at the same school, someone said. Kevin snorted. No shit. Of course, the 3 of us are going to the same school. Aiden took a quiet sip of water and looked at me, a faint smile playing on his lips. I didn't return his gaze. Instead, I turned to the side and chatted casually with some classmates. Sophie had always been the center of attention, like the moons surrounded by stars. Whether male or female, people liked to gather around her. We were all adults now, and no one shied away from talking about relationships. Someone suggested we play truth or dare. The class president grinned and said, If you choose truth, you have to be honest. Otherwise, you'll jinx your college results. Everyone laughed and agreed. Just like in my previous life, the turn landed on Aiden. The class president asked, "Do you have a girlfriend?" Aiden lazily raised his eyebrows and said no. In my past life, by this time we had already been dating for a month, but Aiden wouldn't admit it. He was afraid of upsetting Sophie. When it was my turn, I lost and chose truth. The class president asked, "Is there someone you like?" Sophie quickly added, "Is there anyone here that you like?" I could feel a warm gaze fixed on me. I didn't need to look. I knew it was Aiden. Under the expectant and curious eyes of everyone, I said no. The class president said, "Swear it. If you're lying, your college exam results will crash and burn." No one would joke about something like that, especially with applications around the corner. Everyone playing the game took it seriously. Aiden's brows tightened. He said coldly, "Enough." But Sophie pressed on. "Then swear it." I glanced at Sophie, then at Aiden's familiar eyes. I said, "I swear, if I'm not telling the truth, I won't get into my dream university. I'll fail the college entrance exam." The guy sitting behind me sighed dramatically. Damn, so Lisa really doesn't like anyone. Guess I'm out of the running. Lisa, the genius, has descended to our world, but she still doesn't care for us mortals. Aiden shot him a cold glare. I said nothing, just smiled faintly. As the gathering wound down, I went to the restroom. On my way back, I saw Aiden leaning lazily against the railing. His tall frame looked relaxed, a smile tugging at his lips. "Lisa, the genius, doesn't like anyone," he said. "Then what am I?" I pretended not to understand, drawing my hands slowly. "You're still a person, aren't you?" Before I could react, he suddenly pulled me into his arms. I frowned. "There are people around. Let me go." He chuckled softly. "You said there's no one here you like. What about me?" I looked at him. "Don't you also not have a girlfriend?" "Let me go first." The more I struggled, the tighter he held me until Sophie's voice rang out. Only then did he let me go. Watching his expression and movements, I couldn't help but laugh bitterly to myself. "Aiden, your affection is so cheap." Sophie looked at me and snorted, then turned to Aiden, her eyes lighting up. "Aiden," she waved at the girls around her. "You all go on ahead. I'll walk with Aiden." She naturally linked arms with him. My eyes landed on their joined arms. A girl next to me grabbed mine and said, "Ah, spare me the lovey-dovey show. Lisa, let's go." Sophie giggled playfully. "Hetty." On our way back to the private room, one of the girls sighed. Why didn't my youth include 3 hot guys faunting over me? Can't I at least get one boyfriend as handsome as Aiden? Life is so unfair. I smiled but said nothing. Before the deadline for submitting college applications, Kevin asked me to meet him at a coffee shop. He got straight to the point. "Did Aiden tell you which university he's applying to?" In my previous life, Aiden had hidden his decision to apply to Capital University from them. In order to keep Sophie from stealing him away, I'd lied to Kevin and said Aiden was going to Southside University. This time, I told the truth. He's going to Capital. Kevin's expression froze in shock for a moment. Then he said coldly, "Lisa Chen, don't overstep. The bond between the 4 of us isn't something you can break. Even before he died, Sean didn't like you. Neither Sophie nor I like you either. Even if you end up with Aiden, you'll never get our blessing." I laughed and raised an eyebrow. "Why do I need the 4 of you to like me? Does your approval somehow elevate my life?" Kevin was speechless, his face turning red with frustration. I left right after finishing what I had to say. On the day of the college entrance reporting, I sat at the airport waiting for my flight. Harbor City University's law program was their crown jewel, and it was everything I had ever wanted. As soon as my scores came out, admissions offices started calling nonstop. There were calls from Capital University and from Harbor City, but the offer from Harbor was by far the best. While Aiden was vacationing in the Maldives with Sophie, I had already met with a Harbor City admissions officer. I toured the campus, and ever since I returned, I began carefully planning my future. I didn't want to let love delay or derail my life. Besides, Aiden had never truly been the right person for me. When I landed, someone from Harbor came to pick me up at the airport. The sun was glaring just a bit, and I couldn't stop the tears from welling up. Then I got a call from Aiden. His voice sounded slightly anxious. "Lisa, did you check in already? I didn't see you anywhere." In the background, I could hear Sophie urging him. "Aiden, hurry up." I pressed my lips into a smile. "Aiden, I didn't apply to Golden State. It wasn't on my list. And you're not in my life plan." The background on the other end was noisy, and it didn't sound like he caught what I said. Sophie kept rushing him. "Aiden, come on." He laughed warmly and dotingly. Coming, click, the call disconnected. I didn't care whether he heard me or not. The road between us had forked. He was heading south, I was heading north. Aiden no longer existed in the map of my future. And surprisingly, life in college without Aiden was even better than I imagined. Once school started, I barely thought about anything related to high school. By the end of the first week, I had fully adapted to university life. That's when Aiden started calling. I ignored the first few until he called from an unfamiliar number. I answered. "Lisa Chen, where are you?" he asked. "I'm taking you out to eat." It was already 8 p.m. I told him I've already eaten. "It's too far. Maybe next time." He sounded puzzled. "Why next time?" "Tomorrow works. I have a full class schedule tomorrow." Just then, my roommate called out my name. "Lisa, who are you on the phone with?" I quickly replied, "A classmate from high school." Aiden chuckled through the line. "A classmate? That's how you described someone you used to be so close with." I didn't argue. I hung up. Occasionally, I'd still see posts about Aiden, mostly from Sophie's social media. She often shared little moments, whether on her feed or Weibo. She had built up a decent following online. Because of Aiden's background, Sophie never posted his full face or name. But even so, fans would comment on it, "I bet your guy is really handsome in real life." Another one said, "With a childhood love like yours, it's destiny. You two are meant to be." Sophie would reply vaguely, hey, he really is good looking." Some high school alumni even dug up her old posts and shared them on alumni forums. Sophie became someone young girls looked up to with envy. Even after her brother passed away, she still had 2 more big brothers protecting her. Aiden and Kevin, on the forums, everyone praised her life with admiration. During the short National Day break, I flew back to Capital City. Aiden showed up at my doorstep. "Didn't you say you wanted to see the ocean?" "Let's go." I refused. "Aiden, I don't want to anymore." He frowned but said nothing. The next day, he came to my house again. I knew he wouldn't give up until he got what he wanted. Then I remembered, in my past life during the same holiday, Aiden had also invited me to go. But in the end, we never made it. Sophie got sick and everything fell apart. This time I laughed and said, "All right," he booked the tickets immediately. Sure enough, the day after Sophie got sick again. He didn't call until right before boarding. "Lisa, something came up. I can't go." Good thing I hadn't even packed yet. Sophie stayed sick until the holiday ended. I boarded my return flight back to Harbor City. Just when I thought I'd never cross paths with Aiden again, I signed up for the university debate tournament and made it all the way to the national level. The finals were held at Capital University. On the way there, my debate teammate Zoe Jo asked, "Lisa, weren't you originally from the Capital?" I nodded. "Yeah." She lit up, excitedly pulling out her phone and pointing to a photo. "Then you must have gone to Capital First High too. Have you heard the story of Sophie and Kevin? I'm so jealous. Just a few days ago, I even added Sophie on Weibo. She's at Golden State, since the debate competition's being held there. I was hoping I'd get to meet her in person." I gave her a polite smile and didn't say anything. Zoe kept gushing. "Look at the bond between her and those 2 guys. So strong. It's such a shame her older brother passed away. Imagine being doted on by 3 big brothers. That must have been heaven. It really must have felt like heaven, being someone worth abandoning girlfriend after girlfriend for." Aiden and I had agreed that if we didn't end up at the same university, we'd consider it a breakup by default. So really, the moment I filled out my college applications, we were already over. It didn't matter whether we were on the same campus or not. He would have chosen Sophie over me either way. Life at Harbor City was busy and fulfilling. Then one day, Zoe came to me and said, "Lisa, do me a favor, we're short one person for our mixer event. You're so pretty, could you help represent our group? I was about to turn her down, but I couldn't resist her sugar-coated persuasion. I'll save you a seat at the far corner, she promised, and I'll buy you breakfast for a month. I snorted, make it a semester. She grinned, deal. That night, Zoe was all sunshine and energy, while I stood next to her like a frozen statue. I sipped a little wine now and then, smiled politely, and to be honest, I was starting to doze off by the end. We wrapped up with a group photo before calling it a night. On the way back, Aiden called me again. His voice was hoarse. Lisa, it's been so long and we still haven't seen each other. There's this great new stay house in your campus. You don't have class tomorrow night, do you? I'll take you. Before I could say no, I heard Sophie and Kevin in the background. Aiden, let's go. Kevin urged, Sophie and I have been waiting forever. Sophie chimed in, yeah, I'm starving. I couldn't help but laugh to myself. Zoe asked, who are you on the phone with? Another late night call. Why does it feel like people are calling you all the time? I said casually, it's nothing. Just a high school classmate asking where I ended up for college. Zoe didn't press further. When we got back to the dorm, I glanced at the calendar. In 2 days, it would be Aiden's grandmother's birthday. But since our engagement had been called off, there was no reason for our families to stay connected. I didn't plan on going to her 70th birthday celebration. On the day of the birthday, Aiden called me. Aren't you coming to Grandma's party? I frowned. Had he forgotten we were no longer engaged? Aiden, just tell her happy birthday for me. I won't be attending. It's not really appropriate. He asked what's not appropriate. You're my girlfriend. That word hit me like a punch to the chest. Aiden, I'm in Harbor City. It's not convenient for me to go back. He went quiet for a moment, then said, all right, and hung up. I grabbed my bag and headed to the library. Whenever I got tired of studying, I'd check my phone. That's when I saw Sophie's post, a picture of her with Aiden's grandmother. Someone commented, meeting the parents already. Sophie replied, nope, we've met ages ago. We're childhood friends after all. I scoffed. Sophie always loved to bring up her brother's dying wish to Aiden in front of me, as if that obligation somehow made her more worthy. The four of them had grown up together. There was no place for someone like me in their bond. When I was 8, I met Aiden for the first time. That was the same year my grandfather saved his grandfather's life, and we were promised to each other as children. We even bowed to heaven and earth in a mock wedding ceremony. Honestly, scrolling through Sophie's social media was mildly entertaining. She loved posting these kinds of photos to mark her territory. But I was no longer interested in whatever was going on between her and Aiden. Then, out of nowhere, the group photo I took at the mixer went viral. Someone had dug up my college entrance exam results. Harbor City's top girl, Get Red, scored 698 on the science track, tied for first nationwide. She's not just smart, she's gorgeous too. Please, someone, get me her contact info. Seeing those posts only gave me a headache. While I was stressed out over all the online attention, Aiden suddenly called. Lisa Chen, come downstairs. I froze for a second. Aiden, I'm not in the capital. He replied, yes, I know. I'm at Harbor City now. I blinked, confused, until I heard the familiar sound of Harbor's campus broadcast coming through the phone. Then I spotted him. He stood out from the crowd like always. Tall, sharp-featured, dressed simply yet drawing every eye. But today he looked a little lost, his expression dull and shadowed. I walked toward him and called out, Aiden, what are you doing here? His voice trembled slightly, though he tried to stay composed. Lisa Chen, I'm your boyfriend. You didn't apply to Golden State. Why didn't you tell me? I took a step back. Aiden, you're not my boyfriend anymore. We don't have anything to do with each other now. He smiled, but there was a bitter edge to it. I never said we broke up. I nodded, but we agreed. If we ended up at different universities, it meant we were done. I told you I was going to Harbor City. You just forgot. Sophie was with you during that call. You probably missed what I said while listening to her. I shrugged. Anyway, now you know. He frowned deeply, clearly struggling to hold himself together. But we agreed. I don't want her to repeat the same mistakes, I interrupted. I don't want to have anything to do with her or you. I looked straight into his eyes. Aiden, you're not part of my future, not anymore. He stared at me, stunned. In my gaze, he saw resolve. No emotion, not even love. When I said those words, something inside Aiden froze. His entire body went rigid. And though he didn't say it, I could tell he was panicking. But just as quickly, he shoved that panic deep down and composed himself. Still, I saw the flash of pain in his expression, before he masked it with a smirk. He raised an eyebrow, watching me closely. Lisa Chen, did you forget we were engaged as kids? We even bowed to heaven and earth. I laughed lightly. Aiden, what century do you think we're living in? A childhood engagement. That was just talk. There's no written agreement. Nothing binding. He stared at me, lips slightly parted as if he wanted to say something. But just then, his phone rang. As always, right on to you. Like some kind of preset alarm that went off the second he and I were alone. I didn't even need to ask. I knew it was Sophie. His expression darkened slightly. He answered the call with a soft, yeah. On the other end, I could faintly hear her panicked, tearful voice. Where are you? I'm scared. There's a man following me. Kevin's voice came through next. Sharp and urgent. Aiden, get back here now. Aiden's head snapped up. His face went pale instantly. All color drained. His dark eyes turned stormy, unreadable. The moment our eyes met, I saw the conflict raging in him. But he didn't say a single word. He turned around and left. Sophie had gotten herself into trouble. Again, I felt nothing. No anger, no sadness. Just quiet emptiness. I turned and walked back to the dorm. Half an hour later, I got a message from Aiden. Wait for me. I'll come see you again. I let out a small smile. Again, there's no next time. Sophie would always find a way to keep him occupied. The day of the debate finals arrived. My team and I flew to Golden State. I knew the campus well. During the competition, I spotted Aiden, Kevin, and Sophie sitting in the audience. They were impossible to miss, especially Aiden. He was tall, striking, and looked like he belonged on a magazine cover. Zoe grabbed my hand excitedly. Oh my God, that has to be the famous Aiden. He was just too handsome, impossible not to recognize. Even after living 2 lifetimes, Aiden no longer stirred anything in my heart. Before the debate started, our eyes met for a brief second. I quickly looked away. When the competition ended, I saw him standing below the stage with his hands in his pockets, looking like he was waiting for me. I deliberately avoided him and exited through a side door. Only students familiar with Golden State knew there were 2 exits. Aiden, miss me, he called. I saw you, he said. I replied calmly. I saw you too. Lisa, he said, can we talk? Just you and me. I agreed without hesitation. I was betting that it wouldn't take more than 30 minutes before Sophie showed up. As we walked together, Zoe looked stunned. Shishia, you 2 know each other. A few of our classmates from Harbor started gossiping. Is that your boyfriend, Lisa? I smiled slightly and replied, no, just a high school classmate. Once I said that, no one found it strange. It wasn't uncommon to run into people from high school at national events. Everyone understood that feeling of bumping into an old face. Aiden's expression darkened slightly. Once we exited the hall, he asked, why didn't you tell them I'm your boyfriend? I reminded him because we broke up. He shot back. We were engaged as kids. I chuckled. Aiden, you know as well as I do, that was just a childhood promise. We're adults now. Just as we stepped outside the building, one of Aiden's college roommates showed up. I recognized him from my previous life. Hey, Jin, sister-in-law, the guy greeted, clearly surprised. And right on to you, Sophie appeared. Aiden had just started to nod, but the moment Sophie showed up, he quickly denied it. Don't joke around. Sophie playfully scolded the roommate. Seriously, can you stop teasing Aiden like that? Don't you know he's with me? Aiden rubbed the back of his neck awkwardly. Sorry. Sophie pouted. Aiden, I've got my checkup this afternoon. His body instinctively turned toward her. And then he looked back at me. Eyes uncertain. I gave him a small smile. It's fine. Go take care of it. We can catch up another time. I was about to leave when he grabbed my wrist gently. A flicker of conflict in his eyes. Wait for me. I'll be back soon. I didn't respond. Sophie brushed past me, her tone mocking and triumphant. Lisa Chen, as long as I'm an option, if it ever comes down to choosing between us, Aiden will never pick you. Her words meant nothing to me. I didn't need Aiden to choose me, and I wouldn't choose him either. That evening, we flew back to Harbor City. After landing, I saw a bunch of missed calls on my phone, all from Aiden. I didn't answer. Close to midnight, it started snowing in Harbor for the first time that season. The campus was quickly blanketed in white. Since it was the first snowfall, students were buzzing with excitement, and many went outside to see it. Zoe suddenly asked me, she asked, "Are you really just high school classmates with that guy?" She went on, "I met Sophie today. She's nothing like how she is online. She kept hinting bad things about you. I thought it was really nasty." I blinked. "Why are you asking me this now?" Zoe looked hesitant, then pointed downstairs. "Someone said there's a guy out there, looks around 6'2", standing alone by the dorm, sounds like him." I sighed. I really didn't want this to blow up further, so I grabbed my coat and went down. Aiden was standing outside, dusted with snow, holding something in his hands. The moment he saw me, he pulled me into his arms without saying a word. And then he cried. His eyes were red and warm tears fell onto my shoulder, soaking through my coat. His voice trembled. "Lisa Chen, thank God you're still alive." His words came out of nowhere. "Let's get engaged right now, okay?" I gently pushed him away. "Aiden, did you come all this way just to say that? You should go back. Don't make Sophie and Kevin worry." When his phone rang again, he didn't even look at the screen before rejecting the call. I already knew who it was, Sophie. "Aiden, don't keep her waiting. If something happens to her, I won't be responsible. And do you know why she showed up at Golden State?" I looked him right in the eye, "Because I told her you were here." His eyes glistened. "Lisa Chen, I choose you. Don't leave me." My heart skipped for a beat. I looked up at him. That line, it was too familiar. "Aiden," I said, "you don't need to choose me, because I'm no longer one of your choices." His head snapped up, and his body froze. I had heard this once before. In our past life, when he proposed to me, I told him to choose between me and Sophie. He chose me, and in the end, he regretted it. I took a deep breath to steady myself. "Aiden, it's late. I need to go back to the dorm." He spoke again, voice low. "I had a dream. We were getting married. But then something happened to Sophie. She was assaulted. She lost her mind. And I treated you horribly. When something happened to both of you, I chose her out of resentment. And then you died." My eyes trembled. "Aiden, that wasn't a dream." He froze, visibly rattled. "In our last life, you did choose Sophie. That's why in this life, I'm choosing not to want you anymore." His pupils shrank. He was shaken, unable to calm himself. When Sophie called again, he turned his phone off. Then he bent down slightly, his gaze pleading, voice hoarse. "Lisa, I regret everything." I looked at him. "I don't. You're not part of my future." After that, every weekend, I saw Aiden either near the dorm or at the school gate. I ignored him every time. One day, I texted him, "You're really starting to get on my nerves. I don't want to see you. You're putting on a great act. And frankly, it's disgusting." He responded with a voice message. "Just meet me once. I swear I won't bother you after this." At the cafe, I sat across from him. "Say what you need to say." His voice was careful. Hesitant. "I know you probably don't want to hear this, but I never loved Sophie. If I had, I never would have accepted that engagement with you. I took care of her out of guilt. Her brother saved my life and died. His last words were that Sophie liked me, and he asked me to take care of her. I already had psychological issues back then, even in the last life, so I kept tolerating her. Every time I saw her, I thought of Sean. I thought of how he died for me. And I couldn't shake the guilt. When things happened with her last time, I was already mentally unwell. Then when you died, only then did I realize what I had done. After I saved her in the hospital, I felt released. Her so-called illness. It was an act. The assault. She panicked and slandered the guy. Turns out, it was consensual the whole time. When I found out, I just felt relief, like I had finally paid back my debt. I nodded. "Okay, I get it, but I don't love you anymore. You've said what you came to say. You can go now." His eyes dimmed. He forced a bitter smile that didn't reach his eyes. His throat bobbed and his voice was hoarse. Okay, I won't bother you anymore. Even though Aiden stopped appearing so openly, I still noticed him. On nights when I came back late to the dorm, I'd catch a glimpse of his figure, watching from the shadows. I pretended not to notice. During the first winter break of the new year, I saw Aiden again at a banquet. He had his parents greet mine. My parents smiled politely and said, "That's all in the past. The engagement's been called off." Though our families don't have much connection anymore, the two old men still occasionally keep in touch. No need to be so formal. Aiden's face darkened. His mother nodded. Yes, right after the college entrance exams, Lisa came with her parents to end the engagement. Aiden looked at me. Slowly, his eyes reddened. His mother paused when she noticed his reaction. "Didn't you like Sophie? I always saw you protecting her." Later, Aiden and I stepped into a private room. He stared at me, his eyes growing darker. "So you gave up on me?" From that moment on, I answered honestly. "Yes, from that moment, you weren't part of my plan anymore, and I don't want you holding me back." Sophie eventually found us. When she saw us together, she walked in, sounding annoyed. "Aiden, what are you doing here?" Aiden gently but firmly pulled his hand out of hers. "Sophie, guys and girls shouldn't cling to each other like that." "Let go." "But I liked you," she blurted. "Aiden, did you forget what my brother told you before he died?" Aiden's voice turned cold. "That's enough. Even if I owed him my life, I've already repaid that debt. Back then, Sean ran into danger first. I followed him to save him. He died protecting me. Sophie, stop using your brother to manipulate me." Kevin looked stunned. "Wait, Aiden, you're saying Sean went in first, and you only went to save him?" Aiden nodded. "Yeah," Sophie suddenly looked panicked, "but my brother told you to take care of me." Aiden's face was expressionless. "Sophie, I'll say it again. I've taken care of you enough all these years. Stop guilt-tripping me." I didn't stay to watch how it ended. I walked away. In my senior year, I gave up my guaranteed grad school spot and prepared to study abroad. I was swamped with paperwork and applications. Throughout college, I always felt a presence nearby. Aiden. In our final year, there were reports of a flasher near Harbor City University. The guy had been lurking on and off for 4 years, terrifying the girls' dorms. During the 4th year, he was finally caught. Zoe and I had just returned to our dorm when she suddenly gasped at her phone. "Oh my God. Sheesh. We were just on that street. There was a flasher. But they caught him." Not long after, Aiden appeared on Harbor's trending searches. And even on city news. Student from Golden State heroically stops a tucker near Harbor City University, currently in a coma. Someone posted, "Why was a Golden State student at Harbor anyway?" Another replied, "He's in love with someone at Harbor." When I saw that reply, I couldn't help but laugh silently. After Aiden woke up, he refused every interview. Instead, he called me. I answered, "Thanks for stepping in," I said. "You don't need to feel guilty," he told me. I would have done the same for anyone. But it just so happened that the person I protected is the one I love. "Lisa," he continued, voice rough. "I regret it. I really regret everything. Even if I had the chance to live again, I still wasn't brave enough to choose you. And I ended up losing you. I was useless. You were the one I loved, but I only just realized it." He had spent years trying to make up for his guilt towards Sophie, and was now finally seeking therapy for his mental health. I didn't go see him. Instead, I boarded a flight overseas. I wanted to become a lawyer who spoke for the people. Some users online called me heartless. Sophie cursed me for having no conscience. But I didn't think so. I simply made a choice in a this or that moment. And I chose my future. Besides, Aiden was never part of my plan. In my life plan, the only thing that mattered was my own future.